It is Saturday morning, July. What is the date today? Now let me check. July 8th. Damn, it's July 8th, 2023. How long ago did I start this channel? What, 2016? Jesus Christ. I've been doing this show for almost 6 years. Wow. Well, I've been wanting to do a Saturday show for quite a while. And I have this thing. I don't like doing it alone. I'd much prefer the conversational commentary of having at least one other person. Hey, what's up, iMega? There's a link in the Discord if you want to join us. Me. I don't have multiple personality syndrome. I promise. Uh, yeah. So I've been wanting to do this Saturday morning thing for a long time, and I just never really got around to it. The last couple weeks have been insanely busy in my IRL day job, but in that way where it feels like I've gone not over a hill, not in the like over the hill, old and dying sort of way. Although I am over the hill at this point, but over a hill of where things have sort of leveled out a bit. It's taken a long time, very stressful, a lot of crazy shit going on IRL, but finally this week things sort of seem to have evened out. It feels like I've sort of mastered my new career path, if you can call it that. I thought that I would start by playing some new content that my awful goodness co-host Jez has made. Whoa, not that. What are these cats just hanging out in the park? Wait, whoa! I've never been to a park and just seen cats hanging out. I think I love this character, Jez. If you're listening, I love this character. Mega Arts, Mr. Midnight, no relation. Person turquoise waving. What does that mean? I understand person waving. How does the turquoise play in? Free cats. I love cats. I like animals in general, I guess. Uh, Alex Jones Gay Frog is a very good character. I like this character a lot. He's very funny. No audio. No audio from me, or well, I guess you can't hear me. Or the video. It'd be really terrible if it was the whole thing. I'm seeing audio going on. Okay, all right. Let's see what's going on here. We'll remove this. I'll reshare. Oh, I think I know why. I think I know why. Share screen window. Oh, that's why. Okay. How do I want to do this? I can fix this. Maybe. Oh, fuck Voice Meter. All right. It's gonna be a little wonky, but I have. It's not because I'm a boomer. It's because shit. Listen, the audio routing for streaming is dog shit and totally non intuitive. Here, this should do it. All right, all right, all right. All right, I get it.
Look at
Even in this small
Yeah, let's
park
make that a little
here, the Muish presence cannot be ignored. There's one, then there's another one. Oh gosh. And that one there. Oh, more. This is a literal Muish invasion, I tell you. A literal Muish invasion. Oh no, I've been spotted. What is going to happen? I think I've been targeted. This may be the last video you ever hear from me, Alex Jones, Gay Frog.
What? Like, have you guys ever gone to a park and just had a bunch of cats hanging out? I've never seen that. How? Is it Cat Day in this South American park? Did I just dox Alex Jones, Gay Frog, as being in South America? He's hiding out with Glenn Greenwald. All right, so what I have to do, I have to share each one of these individually. It's kind of annoying, but whatever. Alex Jones has been busy. Alex Jones, Gay Frog.
Gay Frog here. I'm here in the wonderful park of John F. Kennedy, named after the world's greatest, America's greatest president. But unfortunately, I have come to, I should say, I found something very disturbing. Because in this park, named after our most glorious president, I have found Muse. Look at that lazy mule lying there in our beloved park, named after our beloved president. Get up,
I
you
don't
lazy
understand
piece
where
of
all
mule.
these cats are coming
Stupid mule.
from.
Look at him. Just look at him. I wonder what seedy thoughts are flowing through his mulish brain.
Probably something about eating chicken.
Hi, Alex Jones, Gay Frog here.
I don't like the interface for YouTube Shorts. Like, you can't scrub. And I don't like the autoplay. The auto loop is fucking annoying as shit. Just fucking play it once. Just play it once and give me a scrub, assholes. No one who makes computers makes them usable anymore. I was just talking to this guy about how, like, why can't the taskbar in Windows be on a hotkey? Why can't I hit like Shift Alt T and have the taskbar show, and then hit Shift Alt T and it goes away until I bring it back? Why can't that be a setting? I don't know how difficult that would be to do, to program it that way, but considering all the useless shit that it does do, I imagine it's got to be somewhat, at least as easy or difficult as all the other useless shit that Windows has now. I used to love computers. I hate them now. All right, we got more. I got a few. Is this it? Alex Jones has been busy.
Not only have the Muse infested our beautiful park, but they have also taken control of our religious institutions. This here used to be a beautiful shrine to the Virgin Mary, I believe. I don't know, I'm not a Catholic. But look here. Look at this. A Mew.
I don't know.
A Mew. But not just any Mew. A black Hebrew Mew Israelite. Look at him eyeing me down, wanting to convert me to his satanic religion. And look, there are more Mews. See, they have infiltrated our religious institutions. Trust me, I'm the world's greatest reporter, Alex Jones, Gay Frog of Infrog Wars.
I get the feeling that Alex Jones's town is absolutely infested with mews. They're everywhere. I don't see this many mews when I go outside. Hi, Mega. Do you see this many mews when you go outside? It's a lot of them. I'm starting to worry what happens if this mewish invasion moves north. We're all in trouble.
This devious one, he's bathing himself in public like a degenerate. Disgusting. All right, now put the camera on me. Here we see Emil walking around the park like he owns the place. And maybe he does, because that is all part of the Muse agenda. Trust me, I'm Alex Jones, Gay Frog, and I am always on the watch for Muse and their devious Mewish conspiracy. Breaking news from InFrogWars.com. This is me, your wonderful host, Alex Jones, Gay Frog. If you can say right behind me, right over there, we have a Mew putting its Mewish stink on these unsuspecting, beautiful yellow flowers. Oh my gosh, it's another one. This one.
I would say definitely do more Alex Jones Gay Frog videos, Jez. But don't make everyone about the Mewish invasion. You got to do other stuff too. Make people want more Mewish invasion content. You know, that's kind of one of the rules. Is you set up a thing and then you take it away, and you hint at giving it back, and then you sort of that's how you tease out or vamp or hype the property. I don't know what else you'd want to do. It's up to you. But Infowars has lots of stuff you can have fun with. You can do cryptids. You can do aliens. Mews are kind of aliens. Let's see.
More Mews desecrating our beautiful park. I am disheartened and shocked, dismayed even. Look at all them lazy, indignant felines. This Mew has chosen to deface public property by resting its head on the cement work in this park. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. There's some other Mews here being lazy and insolent. Or indolent, I don't know words, I'm just a frog. A gay frog named Alex Jones. My God.
One thing about the frog puppet, the frog hand puppet, it might work for all hand puppets, but there's this comedy that you can get out of it just by like turning its head. It's so weird. Like if you have the hand puppet facing the camera, and you make some sort of a point, and then you don't say anything, and you just turn the head towards a thing. There's always a laugh in that. I don't really understand it. Like I understand that it works. I don't know what psychological mechanism it incites to make you laugh. So here's a question. Oh man, this is a 10-minute video. I'm not watching this. Oh wait, no, that's not it. That's not it. Let's do this. Want to look at this? No, maybe we'll look at this. It's a 5-minute video. So it's kind of annoying. I wanted whenever a Comicsgate or Comicsgate adjacent person does a project, I want it to go well. I want it to be good. I want it to deliver on time, and I want it to make a bunch of money. And I want the people who are doing it to succeed. But that isn't the common case. Most people who make Comicsgate or Comicsgate adjacent comics seem to end up a couple grand in the hole at least. Sometimes the books are good. A couple of people have done better than that, but most people seem to end up a couple grand in the hole. Uh, I wonder if anyone has made a video about the production process. Someone should. But there's been waves in that world regarding Eric July, Young Ripa's ISOM #1. He's up to ISOM #2 at this point, or it's going. He's taking pre-orders for it. A little while back, Dick Masterson was on Nick Rekieta's show, and he said that his friend Vito, who is absolutely he likes the movie Cuties. That's all you really need to know about Vito. I don't like Vito. I think Vito's a scumbag. Uh, Vito was talking about how Rip is a grifter. Grifter. Fucking ruin. The left ruins language by overusing it. Why is he saying that Rip is a grifter? Because the book isn't good. That's the short answer. Okay, well, you make a book that isn't good and it sells a lot. That's not really grifting. It's making a product that doesn't how would I explain it? Doesn't live up to its hype. But that happens all the time. That's not exactly grifting. Anyway, Dick was saying that ISOM looks like it's trash, and Nina Infinity is one of these people, like, she has funny tweets and she has funny takes here and there, but I have no idea why the fuck anyone has her on their show. Like, she doesn't really contribute anything. She's just another chick, lay nerd chick. Oh, look, I'm such a nerd, who would have like 3 views if it wasn't a chick. Oh, well. Good
Hey,
morning.
what's up? Excuse
time
me.
is-
Yeah, excuse me for the slight delay, but it's 4:25 p.m. here in Spain, and I was in the pool. How's that?
You were in the pool?
I was in the pool. We have an apartment here in the Mediterranean coast, and we have a community pool.
I didn't even know you had pools in Spain.
Well, we have mostly for pigs. We fill them with manure and stuff, and let them. What's the word you use? Like when you roll in the ground with pleasure. That's what they do in them.
They do. We say wallow or we say rut.
Exactly. They wallow in the manure, but every now and then we repurpose them for leisure purposes, and that's what we have here.
So let me get this straight. You have pools, and they're not like steel drums with water in them.
Oh no! They are like holes in the ground dug by low-paid Arab or African workers.
Okay.
Yeah, and we usually execute them and throw them inside afterwards after they're finished.
Nice. Did you have a cocktail while you were in the pool?
No, because it's a community, so you can like pee and poo in the water, but you can't have a cocktail because that would be unhygienic.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I have a beach weekend ahead of me, so I'm looking forward to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Do you have
So
do you have beaches where
I'm
you
just
are?
doing-
Like it's like the
we,
east, the upper east
we-
coast, right? Something like that.
it's not. It's a little ways away. It's like an hour or so away, but it's not that far away. All the driving I've been doing lately, like a 2-hour drive, isn't that much for me anymore. I just fucking get in the car and go. So yeah, my stepfather and I are going to the beach for the weekend.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I went to the beach with my dad because there's no way you can like pull him out of the house. It's like fucking hermit.
Well, my stepfather's the opposite. He hates being in the house, and he's one of those people who he's a beach person. He's obsessed with the beach. He's always like, I want to go to the beach. So yeah, he's the one that's going in the water when it's like 10 degrees out.
Huh. So he's like a country guy. He's like one of those Russian guys who like swim in the Black Sea in the middle of January and like this is good for your health.
He would absolutely do that. He would absolutely do that.
In Soviet Russia, you freeze the water.
Railroad worker. Those guys are made of different stuff.
Yeah. I think that was the guy whom you described as he has a job in which you either die young or you like become the ultimate badass for like 200 years.
Yeah, pretty much. The last time I was over his house, we had some cheeseburgers out on the grill, and we were talking about like all the people that he knew when I was younger, and like it was like a list of like at least a half dozen people that died by their 30s. Yeah.
That's fucking rough. Yeah. If you're not in a good health like that, that's sort of like, I mean, there's a reason why that work is actually a workout for like MMA fighters and shit, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look who else is here. Good morning.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Omega, you probably saw at least one of it, but we watched the new Alex Jones Gay Frog videos.
Oh yeah, I saw it.
I like that character. Jez definitely needs to do as much content as she can think of for that character. It's a good character.
One of the videos didn't it like visits in like 3 digits, something like that?
Did it?
I think so.
It's got legs. I could even see on like a day where he's feeling silly, I could see Alex Jones being like, "Hey, you want to bring the gay frog on?" Which would be hilarious.
I wouldn't be opposed to that.
Me neither.
I think that would be absolute. He's one of those dudes. There aren't many. He's one of those dudes that can actually take the bants. So this character doing a silly mirror of whatever he's up to that week would absolutely be in his wheelhouse. So if you're listening, Jez, keep doing the Alex Jones Gay Frog videos.
We want
just expand
more,
the content. Yeah, I like it.
I like he basically goes around like harassing random stray cats.
It just there's nothing not funny about that. Like no matter how the cats react to it, it's gonna be funny. They just lay there and don't react. That's funny. They get mad at him. That's funny. They start purring and like
gets videos for a reason, so you know.
Yeah.
She could try to do a parody of that video in which Alex Jones is chasing a guy, and many people later adapted it with Alex Jones pursuing the turtle from Super Mario 64.
I am very good at catching a character that has legs. I mean, but the person making it has to do the work. It's not going to do it on its own.
Of course.
But I'm really good at catching a character that has legs, and Alex Jones has legs. Do you guys know what that means when it has legs?
No, like the opposite of what the last Indiana Jones movie has.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna watch that Jim Caviezel Mel Gibson movie.
Oh yeah, I wanna watch that actually. Like, I thought it was like a drama, but like the progressive press has sold it like some kind of like Taken type of movie, and now I kind of want to watch it.
The one about QAnon?
It's not about QAnon. It's about child trafficking in South America. They're tying it to QAnon to try and hurt its box office.
Oh, okay.
They're intentionally attempting to assassinate a movie that exposes the child human trafficking problem in this world. So that tells you everything you need to know about them.
I think it's actually based on a true story.
Yeah.
Like the main character, the character that Caviezel plays is actually, I think, Tim Ballard. And I don't know if it's like an ex-CIA or something like that, or an ex-DEA that like set up an operation called Underground Railroad to liberate children from underground sex trafficking in Mexico. Well, I assume like sex trafficking is underground, but you know.
I can't think of any reason that anyone shouldn't see this movie. It'll make you mad. It'll make you sad, but it's going on.
I mean, that's the only thing that deters me from wanting to watch it is how dark the subject matter is. And I've heard that it can get like, really depressing and like, you know, it's like...
Like you're just going to want to sit and stare at a blank wall for a couple of days after watching
like
it. You'll feel worse.
like when you finish watching Martyrs or one of those like extreme Japanese or Hong Kong movies, you're like, you don't want to talk to anyone in like days.
Well, like that feeling you get after watching a Studio Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
Only worse.
Like Grave of the Fireflies.
No, stop.
I haven't seen. There's a reason I haven't seen Grave of the Fireflies yet, because I've seen My Neighbor Totoro, Howl's Moving Castle, and what's the other one? There's a third and maybe a fourth one I've seen. They all make these really.
Porco Rosso. I watched Porco Rosso and I actually liked it.
Spirited Away.
Yeah.
Spirited Away. I like the Ghibli movies a lot, but they make me despondent. Like, as sad as I will feel that year, I will feel after watching a Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh no, that's not from Ghibli. Sorry.
What, Spirited Away? Spirited Away is Ghibli.
No. I was thinking about this movie, The Wolf Children.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Yeah, it's by Mamoru Soda. It's a completely different way.
So are you guys up on the Omega? You had a comment. It simply didn't live up to the hype, but even books from MSM comic book industry don't do it. I'm on the ISOM topic. Have you guys read ISOM?
Not really, because it's not my thing. I think we already talked about it. Like, I've never been into like mainstream superhero stuff, and like ISOM like feels pretty mainstream to me. I don't know.
How about you, Omega? Did you actually read it?
I have read some pages that I found on 4chan when it was leaked.
So
that's the reason why I made that comment, because as I mentioned, Ripa made a lot of promotion. A lot of people on the internet, even Ethan Van Sciver and his friends from the mainstream comic book industry, say the same, that the book was great. It was going to be like a turning point. And yeah, the hype was very high about the book, but once you read it, you find out that actually it was not really that good.
The art is all right. It's like mid to low tier. Like, it's like a B or a C team from 90s Image quality. I don't think you can expect better art. I have some to look at.
I mean, we need to take into account that we're talking about indie comics, and as far as indie comics go, that's like really high quality, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I actually agree with that. There are a couple of shots that I don't have samples of them. I don't want to show stuff that could get it taken down. There are a couple of shots that they just got wrong. Like, there's a costume reveal, and that costume reveal is like, it's like the last page of the story. And it's half the quality it ought to be. And then there's a couple of things where, like, just the composition is bad. Like, there's a character named Yara, and there's a splash page where Yara's revealed and she's flying, and they've got her name in that like stylized comic-y specific character font, but it's like an eighth of the size it needs to be. It's so tiny. Like the design on it is just a very dumb move. But aside from a couple of flubs, which is fine, there are going to be flubs. The art is about what you shouldn't be expecting more from an indie comic. That much, like, you know, like it's fine. It's not spectacular, but it's not bad either.
Well, I don't know how much Ripa had at his disposal for a budget for this book, but for example, with the money that I saw he spent, I will try to get an artist who tends to break, you know, the usual style that we've seen in comics, like Kenneth Rocafort.
I think by the time he started taking money for it, or at least by the time he started seeing real money in pre-orders, the book had already been in the can.
But here's the thing, like, if you, that's just what I was talking about when I meant I didn't really like mainstream comics. Kenneth Rocafort isn't like a mainstream artist. He's like he's more like an auteur type of guy who like has a very personal style. Sure, he can draw superheroes, but I think he would feel like Eric Canete. He would feel like more comfortable in like sci-fi stuff, like more complex. You know, I think the art in ISOM it fits the subject matter. It fits what it's trying to be, which is like as I said, like mainstream hero type story.
Hmm.
Is
I don't know.
this
I remember when Rocafort was illustrating Superman, and it looked pretty damn cool.
Yeah, no, I'm
yeah?
sure. Like, I'm sure it was great, and I love Kenneth Rocafort. I'm just saying, like, maybe it's like too groundbreaking, and it doesn't feel like Ripa was trying to break any ground. It was like they just want to make like this, I'm not gonna say round of meal like in a derogatory way, but like this average type, regular type superhero story.
What I'd say is that Rocafort wasn't in Ripa's budget for ISOM #1, but he could be for a future episode, and I could see it working.
Well, do you think that Rocafort charges more than, for example, Gabriel Play, because he was the colorist, isn't it?
He probably charges a fuckload, dude.
Guys, gotta drop out because lunch is ready. Yes, we do have lunch in our time of the day because we're on vacation. But if you're still on, one,
Yeah,
I
it's
can
like your
help you.
6th lunch today.
Of course, because wallowing in a pig manure pool leaves me hungry. It's my God given right. God damn it! Be right back. Don't be flat.
All right. Enjoy your lunch. You have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
So, like, there are two issues I got going on in my head over ISOM.
Okay.
One of them is the book, and the other is the meta around the book. And what got my head spinning this week is I watched a Bianca Fights the Zombies video where actually let me see if I can find that. Is it right here? Oh yeah, it's right here. I'll share the screen. There it is. The content of the video is what it is. It's Bianca talking about like independent comics eating the lunch of the mainstream. But if you look at what is the tweet that he's showing from Vito, who I fucking hate, he's saying, I have loose confirmation that Eric July privately contacted the @Ripa Goalposts account and told them to stop discussing me and Dick Masterson, as our critiques were too damaging to the Rippaverse brand. He apparently gave the same no contact order to his employees. Hilarious. So this may or may not be true. I wouldn't say I trust Vito, but if this is true, fuck you, man. Absolutely 100% go fuck yourself. This is the shit that SJW Marvel and SJW DC pulled. That is the reason why you have a channel, the reason why you have a brand, the reason why you have a job at the Blaze, the reason why you got pre-orders for a fucking comic to the tune of millions. And you're doing this shit? Fuck you. Fuck you. It may not be true, but if it's true, fuck you. This is dirty bullshit to pull.
When Vito posted this?
I don't know, because it's in a video, so I can't look at the date. Let me see if I can. Hang on.
Because if it's on Twitter, we can look for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see. Yeah. And like, also, fuck you for giving Vito something to be right about.
Yeah.
Words cannot describe how much I fucking hate that guy. Like there is a special place with the Sharks for that motherfucker.
And do you think he's real when he says that he liked cuties? Maybe he's just trolling the world.
I see the point. But at a certain point, it's like, I was just pretending to be retarded meme. You know what I mean? Like, it gets to that point. Excuse me. All right, I'm looking for this tweet as we speak. Hang on. I gotta sneeze. I spent a significant amount of time last week in a ceiling. So I have
Okay.
fiberglass everywhere, and it's taking a while to work its way out. Hold on, I'm almost. I feel like I've almost found it. It's just, where is it? Let's see. It's weird that it doesn't say the date. Like, I would think that it would say it on the tweet. What the fuck is it? I'm scrolling all the way down this asshole's timeline. I don't want to.
No, use the search bar. Don't be retarded.
It's too late. I'm already there. I'm already looking. It's got to be. The fuck. I hate this guy so much, and I have to look at his fucking timeline.
Now let me see. I hope I'm
And
not logged in.
I hate that I have to agree with this guy.
Okay. Cool.
Got it.
Yeah, you found
June
it. Okay.
30th. Yeah, it's
That
June
was last
30th.
month.
So it's like last week.
June 30. I understand 13. Okay.
So it's just like probably last Friday. What? Today's the 8th. It's Saturday. It was like what, last Friday?
Okay.
I was following the @Ripple Goalposts account because I thought that it was like one of those accounts saying, as Ripa achieves one thing, let's see what the next thing he achieves is. And then eventually I realized it was like kind of dissing on him, more than kinda. But I figured, all right, like, I'm willing to hear critical opinions. And this was before I really started looking at the actual quality of ISOM. This behavior is fucking atrocious. This is shameful fucking behavior. There's no justifying it. I don't give a fuck how you think you're gonna justify it. I'm really bothered how the bigger people get in this independent comicscape world, the more like SJW, Marvel, and DC they start fucking acting. And it's like, so you never really had a problem with that behavior. You just had a problem with the behavior disadvantaging you. So you're just like them. You're just like them, you fucking asshole. You're no different. Because what they were doing is they were protecting their money. What you're doing now is you're protecting your money, regardless of whether you actually earned it or not. And building a hype train isn't actually earning the money. Delivering quality product is earning the money. The hype train will get you so far. But anyway, this kind of got me annoyed. What I noticed about Ripa, his fans, all the people saying it was good. This is what Dick Masterson called Nina Infinity out on, is nobody can tell. First of all, most of them didn't even fucking read the book, and they were like Dick called Nina out on. He's like, "Did you read it?" And she's like, "Well, no." Okay, so you're saying that a book you haven't even fucking read is good. So what you're really saying is Ripa is good. You're not saying the book is good. You're lying about that. And this is what most people are doing. They're lying to themselves. They're lying to the public square. They didn't read the book. So I don't know if it's good or not. And I started asking this question of people. What about the story in ISOM #1 is good? I'm not really interested in arguing about the art. The art's, like I've said, it's good enough. There's a couple of flubs. That's fine. Those things happen. Not enough for me to dismiss the art altogether. I have some issues with the design, but that's not the art, right? No, nobody can tell me what's good about the book.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened with Image Comics during a while, because what many people were attracted to was the art, because the stories were very forgettable.
The writing and image was very 90s, all like flash and little substance.
Exactly.
But it found substance, and the action was so good. Like, there was so much fucking, like, you pick up an image book in the 90s, there was so much action that you forgot about the story, right?
That's the problem. Because I was seeing a documentary that Robert Kirkman made once about Image. And that was one of the things that many of the experts in the panel pointed out, that for many years, many of the guys who bought Image Comics didn't pay attention to the stories for all the reasons you
Yeah.
mentioned. The art was extremely good, but once the artists started to pretty much lose the focus, that's when people start to notice, hey, the stories really are not good.
Yeah, I wasn't into like excuse me. I liked Image for what it was, but I wasn't as into Image as my friends were. And I liked the story stuff, so because I didn't find story, I was still being a Marvel stan at the time. I liked
Mm.
Gen 13 a lot, oddly enough. I thought Gen 13 had good writing. At least good character development. It was very episodic, but I really did like Gen 13 a lot. I fucking read every issue I got my hands on. But I wasn't really into Wildstorm. I wasn't Wildcats. What are the other ones?
Savage Dragon, Spawn.
Yeah. I barely read. I think I read like 3 issues of Savage Dragon in the 90s. Like I had a friend that was really into it. Yeah, it was good.
Witchblade was also from Image.
Oh yeah, right. Witchblade was action, hot chicks, a tiny bit of story, and the stories got repetitive too.
Yeah. Yeah, because for example, I remember reading Spawn because my cousin was into Spawn when Image came out, and the story was it was not difficult to follow, but you simply say, well, where is it going?
Right, and the reality is, Todd McFarlane and anybody else, they didn't actually know. They were just getting this month's issue done.
Yeah, it's like they were releasing a Saturday morning cartoon.
The issue with ISOM #1 is that I would say a distinct third of the book is ISOM talking to his sister. And the dialogue is not very good. It's like comic book dialogue is wooden in the first place. But one thing I've noticed about the way that Ripa writes dialogue, I think he's autistic. I think that he's on the spectrum somewhere because he writes dialogue like someone who has no idea how human beings interact. It's very wooden. It's I would say spurgy, a bit tismy.
For example, you remember some of the lines of that dialogue?
I have it right in front of me. Let's just flip to a page in the dialogue. Oh, okay. Well, this isn't a family one. Hang on. Let me get there's this like big section of multiple pages where oh, here we go. Okay. So there are no page numbers. So, and I'm not counting the pages, but it's just under halfway through the book. Isom has just snuck out of the hospital for some unknown reason when he could have just discharged himself. There may be a reason, actually. I'll come back to that. And in our top panel, he's walking down an alleyway and there's a car pulling up. And then we see the tight shot on the sister leaning over the passenger seat. There you are. Isom. Thank God. Keep the car running and I'll explain. Now, what's happened is he has some sort of geolocator device that he always wears, like a bracelet or something, that his sister can somehow ping. That is, I don't know. Okay, that's custom technology. How did he get that? It's stupid when he could just have a cell phone. He could just have a cell phone and he could just text his sister. Yeah, like they took his clothes and shit away from him, but you can just have the cell phone on the fucking bed, the table next to where he's laying down, right? Like this unnecessary piece of extravagant custom technology is Tizumi writing. Thank God, keep the car running and I'll explain. Okay. What happened to you? Drive. I need to pick up my ride. That ain't what I asked you. This is Isom's insufferable personality. He's not a likable character. We'll come back to that. I didn't even understand wait, is that her? Yeah. I didn't even understand what was happening. I just got a message with a GPS of your location. See, this is a person who doesn't understand technology trying to write technology when that technology is very easy to research and understand. Not exactly how it works. I fell on a car, went to the doctor and got out. It's nothing. Do you think I'm stupid? You're still in a hospital gown. There's a part where he's walking down the alleyway. No, there's a part where, hang on. There is a funny line when the doctors find him. When the doctors find his hospital bed empty, the doctor says to the RN, oh, here we go. The RN says to the doctor, and he had an odd bracelet thing on his ankle. We couldn't figure out how to cut it off. Okay, bullshit. That cuts off with one of a very simple tool available. See, this again, it's people who don't understand the technology that they're writing about the technology.
In some cases,
how to cut.
You can solve that
What's that?
by. No, I have seen that when you put some advanced technology. Sometimes it's better to write the characters in a time era in which that technology is not available.
So, as far as I can understand, ISOM is essentially present day. It's not later.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
Nowadays, a lot of stuff that used to be fantasy years ago exists.
What bothers me about the bracelet is that, like, dude, they have what are those big chain cutters? You know what I'm talking about? I forget what they call them. I keep wanting to say the word sawzall, but that's not what it is. They have these, big, like, chain cutting clippers that are like the size of your forearm. They have those in hospitals because they have to cut things off people all the fucking time. There is no substance that this bracelet could have been made of that those wouldn't be able to cut, first of all. Second of all, the only reason that they would have to cut that off is if he was swelling. And he's not swelling. Or are we going to write that he was swelling and ISOM has some healing factor? We'll come back to that. But anyway, I'm talking about, this is actually a complimentary part. We couldn't figure out how to cut it off. He was not in a coma when he arrived, but he was unresponsible. Doctor says, interesting. Yet having known of these oddities, you decided to put him on the first floor. Like, that's actually funny. I thought that was funny. That's one of the lines that I like the most from the book. But anyway, finishing up these lines from the stilted, weird dialogue. I snuck out. That's not important. You're knotted and scratched up. Wait, did Darren do this to you? Yes and no. I did go see him, but I got caught in an accident. Take me to the nearest impound. So this is actually, it's not expository as much as the other stuff. Where is it? There's a page where he is just sitting in his sister's living room, talking and talking and talking. Oh, here it is. It's actually towards the end of the book. I would say in the last quarter of the book. Here we go. So this is just a page. I don't know. Should I do the left page or the right page, Omega?
Let's go for the left.
Okay. This is after his second time trying to invade this club. There's a club that's kind of the center of the story where I'll recap that shortly. So, no, I'll recap it right now. Do you know what the story, like the general story of ISOM number 1 is?
Honestly, no.
Yeah. Nobody does. I do. I know what it is because I read it. But nobody can really tell you what this general story is. So, ISOM government name Avery Stillman. Is it Stillman or Silman? It's either Stillman or Silman. From his sister. This is going to sound familiar. Gets a call from his sister. He's living out in the country on a factory farm that he seemingly owns. And the first shot you get of him is he's got an entire track and field arena built on the factory farm.
Okay. I think I remember.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
I think I saw that drawing, that vignette.
So it's got like a track, like an athletics track with a green. There's a big weight set. There's like a what would you call it? one of those shipping container size like portable office buildings
Okay.
on it. There's
Mm.
now this is all on a factory farm. What is the most valuable thing on a factory farm, Imega?
The barn.
The land.
Oh yeah.
He's sacrificed a football field amount of land for a track and field arena that only he's going to be using for personal training. So what does that tell us? And this is the thing. This is what makes Ripa a bad writer. He doesn't think about this stuff. what what does that tell you about Avery is that either he's so rich independent of the value of this factory farm that he can afford to lose that land and not have that productivity on that farm, or his farm does so well, thereby making him that rich. Like the first one is independent of the value of the farm, or the farm does so well that it can support this football field sized arena on its land. But no factory farm does that well. Zero. Absolutely zero factory farms do that well. Every square foot of a farm has to be put to use one way or another. And how big is a football field? At least 300 square yards, right?
Sure.
Something like that, right? No factory farm is going to be able to sacrifice 300 square yards of land to the owner's personal training ground.
Or I don't know.
Just
He could have come to an explanation like the one from American Dad, that the brother from Stanley has a lot of land and he gets a lot of copper from it in order to sustain his fortune.
that's sure. And I'll say two things about that. The first thing is, remember, American Dad is ridiculous. So if ISOM is meant to be a ridiculous book, you can do something like that. Number two, that sort of thing does happen. I know a guy who he was digging something out on his land. He had a good sized plot of land and he found sand, like just straight sand.
Mm-hmm.
And a local quarrying company came and gave him a couple of $1 million for access to that sand.
There you have it.
So that's possible. But that's quarrying, not farming. Right? So maybe there's something secret being quarried out of that farmland that makes the farm redundant, which means that there's no reason to have the farm there. And the farm would actually interfere with the quarrying business. But I don't think it's just not that deep. Rip is not that deep, at least when it comes to writing. So he's working out on his personal arena, on his personal factory farm, and he gets a call from his sister. Avery, I need your help. You gotta come save the girl. This girl, Jasmine, is somehow mixed up with some people. Mrs. Newman, Jasmine's mother, Jasmine Newman, whatever is some sort of familial connection, and she wants Avery to come back to the city and save the girl. Does this plot sound familiar to you?
Yeah, I think I have heard it in other movies and comics. It's not really
Streets of Fire. It's Streets of Fire. You ever see Streets of Fire?
The name rings a bell. That's the reason why I say I have seen it before.
It stars Michael Paré. Is it Michael Paré? I think it's Michael Paré. Hang on. Yeah, it's Michael Paré. It's this Walter Hill universe. Do you know who Walter Hill is?
I think so.
He wrote. Did he write The Warriors? He did 48 Hours. He did The Warriors. He sort of has this like alternate universe that's sort of near the late 70s, early 80s, a little bit further on. It's dark. It's all like under the train trestle neighborhoods, dark urban, all pre-cyberpunk. It's not futuristic at all. Don't think that. But it's got that like wet, dark, brightly like neon lit atmosphere. Streets of Fire is a fantastic fucking movie. So Michael Paré plays this guy named Tom Cody, who's a soldier ex-soldier from some unknown war, who his sister calls him up and says, "Hey, you got to come save the girl. The girl is his ex-girlfriend." So he comes back to town and he deals with the local gang, the leader of which is Willem Dafoe in a leather apron and like white pancake makeup, and he sort of takes out this biker gang that has kidnapped his rock singer ex-girlfriend. Fantastic movie. If you haven't seen Streets of Fire, watch it. It's fucking great. It's the same plot. It's the same plot, just done very badly. Avery is.
It seems that this guy Hill also wrote Red Heart with Schwarzenegger and Belushi.
Yes. He does a good, like he has a lot of 48 Hours has the same thing, like a very tough straight man with a comedic sidekick. You know, but he does it well. It's not cheesy. Mostly.
Cocaine.
So the story in ISOM number 1, it's Avery's out on his factory farm on his personal arena training, and his sister calls him and you got to come save the girl. And the bad guys are they gravitate around this club called Club Q. Is it Club Q? Let me take a look. No, Club Merc, but it's MERQ. And I actually really like the stylization because the Q in the logo for the club is a turntable. Yeah, it's like a record with the turntable arm as the leg on the Q. I really like that stylization. So he goes and he tries to talk to the owner, who just happens to be an old quote unquote friend of his from high school. And that guy doesn't want to have anything to do with him. So he keeps trying to get into this club and getting in fights with the people there. That's why he was in the hospital, because they kicked his ass, and not getting to the girl, right? So where's that page I was doing? I put a little bookmark in it. Here we go. So this is the second time he's tried and failed to get in there. He's staying at his sister's, like some sort of lawyer, like corporate lawyer or something like that, which is fine. I don't really have a problem with the characterization of the sister. I'd like to know how these at best middle class people got this far in life, but whatever, hard work, right? Always gets you somewhere. Avery, it's damn near 2 a.m. You could have texted me. It's the same. This is after this is after the thing that I just read. Yet you answered the door unarmed. I got you that gun for a reason. I saw it was on the security cam. Oh, I saw it was you on the security cam. You look terrible. You didn't try to run up on Darren at the club tonight, did you? That's exactly what I did. I would have had it handled had it not been for the cops. Always seems to have an excuse for why he didn't have it handled. That's not why he didn't have it handled. He didn't have it handled because he didn't have a fucking plan. He just walked in and expected it to work out in his favor. There's a personality mirroring there. So you ran from the cops? This is bad, Avery. That's enough. I would have never told you to see Darren if I'd known this would happen. You're going to get yourself killed. Bad writing. Again, bad writing. She called him. Jasmine disappears for some unknown but most likely criminal reason. She calls in her tough brother to come handle it, and then thinks that it's not going to get violent. So either this character is remarkably stupid, or it's bad writing. The cops aren't the issue. I ran into Jasmine. Oh yeah, you know how he finally finds Jasmine? Do you think that he finds Jasmine after fighting through a room full of heavies?
No.
He just stumbles into her in an alleyway.
What?
Yeah, he just stumbles into her in an alleyway like she's a streetwalker or something. And that's bad writing too. Why the fuck is she in an alleyway? Is she stepping out for a smoke? Or is she a streetwalker? If you're running a club like Club Merc that has hoes in there, which is what we're led to believe is what's going on, you're not letting the girls go outside, at least not unattended, right? But he just stumbles into the prized possession that he's fought through 2 rooms of guys twice for. Just stumbles into her in an alleyway.
And in the context of the story, I mean, this building is not accessible to a police or anything like that.
It's a club. It's like a nightclub. So it is accessible, but I would easily buy that the owner has the cops paid off, and he seems to have an army of men in black suits that can fight anybody. That may or may not have guns. They probably do.
Okay.
So it's one of those situations. That doesn't seem to be much of an issue for me. But just the whole stumbling into the chicken in alleyway is one of the dumbest pieces of writing I've seen this year. She's alive, but she seemed distraught. Whatever Darren is up to with her, it's deep. Damn, this is bad, Avery. Darren's reach is a lot further than you think. So there's how, maybe he's paid off the cops. I need to regroup. This is no longer a Jasmine problem. Tell Mrs. Newman she's alive. But considering the ruckus I caused, Darren could do something. He knows us. That's the problem. I mean, this is all stuff he should have figured out the first time. Because remember, this is the second time he tussled with that crew. This is all stuff he should have figured out the first time. One of the problems that I see with Avery as a character is he's a fucking asshole. Like, he isn't actually interested in saving Jasmine. What has him more concerned is that Darren disrespected him. That's driving him to these confrontations more than anything. Did you mean that, Ripa? Did you mean that to look that way? Because that's not a hero. That's not how a hero behaves. That's how an asshole behaves.
Well, many guys think that heroes should be assholes nowadays.
You can be a hero that is an asshole as long as you're being an asshole about having your priorities straight. It's the priorities that matter. The ISOM doesn't have straight priorities.
Oh, excuse me a second. I have to take care of something.
Okay. While Imega takes care of that, I think I'm going to throw something from the Rippaverse website up there. Let's see. Share screen. And hey, here we go. All right. So this is the page for ISOM number 1. Let's see. He's sold 27,000 copies of cover A, 17,000 copies of cover B, and 18,000 copies of cover C. I think I got cover C. It's the one of ISOM squaring off against Alpha Core, which you don't see. Alpha Core is in the book for like 2 pages. It's a 100-page book. The people on my cover are in the book for 2 pages. That's trash. Short story. What you want is synopsis. I think Ripa might have trouble with words. Avery Silman is a common rancher, but that wasn't always the case. After obtaining some unique abilities, Avery spent a brief stint being a hero under the moniker ISOM in the city of Florist Park, Texas. None of this is in the book. You don't get this from the book. Realizing that it wasn't for him, he walked away from this life. But after listening to a call, what's up?
I'm gonna tap out because the guy with my breakfast just arrived.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, see ya.
Later. But after responding to a call from his sister, some violent altercations ensue and has Avery reconsidering his approach. What happened? Grab ISOM number 1, find out. One of my biggest suggestions for Ripa is do rewrites. Ripa posted something about how he wrote the script in one pass. Yeah, that's why your script is trash. That's why your script's not good. Do rewrites. Get critical feedback on the script. I think that Ripa can't handle critical feedback. I think he can't. I don't think that he can really take criticism. Because he's been a total fucking asshole about criticism this whole time. He's either dismissed it as not genuine or just trod over it. Done that like boorish, what's the word I'm looking for? Blowhard. I'm better than that. Well, no, your script is not good. your script is not good. So let's see. The description, the blah blah blah. Oh, we got more on the story. Okay. The art's all right. I don't really have a whole lot of criticism for the art, aside from a couple of design choices. Avery Silman was once an entry-level hero known as Isom in the city of Florispark, Texas, shortly after gaining his special abilities. A certain event had him hang up his suit, and now he stays on the outskirts of the city living as a rancher. A certain event is not how you want to describe that. You got to be a bit more descriptive there. Avery's sister, Altona, gives him a call and wants a weird name, by the way, and wants him to visit an old friend by the name. Yeah, dude, you need rewrites, man. You need, like, this is not good writing. By the name of Darren Fontano. What's weird about Darren is that when they meet up in their first exchange, welcome back. You're muted.
Yeah.
How was lunch?
It's good to be back. Fine, thank you. It was a quick lunch made up of Mama's homemade tapas. Very tasty, actually. It made me fatter and happier.
What was it?
Well, it was empanadas, which I believe you call patties. One of them was beef and the other was tuna, and some brie cheese. Some brie cheese, some olives, and some like garlic bread to like mix it all up.
That sounds delicious.
It was.
What time is it? It's almost lunchtime here, but I haven't had breakfast yet. I'm gonna have a cinnamon roll.
Good damn it! How can you function as a human being without breakfast? And by breakfast, I mean proper breakfast, not a six-pack.
So, Imega just dropped out to go. He had his breakfast delivered. We're gonna start calling him Imega Bucks.
He a rich Mexican.
I was scrolling through. I'd gone through some of the things about Isom #1 that have a hair across my ass. I'm scrolling through the Isom #1 campaign page and recapping. You get more in the recap on the page than you do from the book about what's actually going on. And so were you still here when I said that the story is essentially Streets of Fire?
I think you mentioned that in another stream, yes.
Yeah, the story is essentially Streets of Fire. Tough guy gets a call to come in. And what's funny is I remember seeing a tweet where someone was calling, it must have been Vito. It must have been Vito who said it's a self-insert. And Rip is denying it's a self-insert. Bro, Isom has a football field-sized track and field arena on the premises of the factory farm that he owns. Don't fucking tell me it's not a self-insert.
Also, there's nothing wrong with the self-insert if the story is good. Some of my favorite comic books, like Martial Law or even Dark Knight Returns, have self-inserts, and that's perfectly fine if the comic is good.
The problem is if you're not a very good writer, self-inserts won't work. You have to be a good writer, and you have to be willing to do things to that self-insert that a bad writer won't be willing to do.
Yeah, because a self-insert is a choice if you're a good writer, and is something that there's nothing else you can do if you're a bad writer, because you only can write about yourself. You know what I mean?
That's right, and that's the hallmark of a bad writer, is that you're only writing about, you're essentially writing your fantasies, not a story for other people. I have a rule with self-inserts. When I catch myself self-inserting, I then immediately start doing horrific things to the character, or have the character do horrific things to other people that make the audience hate him.
Paging Dr. Freud, just saying.
It's not Freudian. It's a means of detaching myself from that self-insert,
right? So
that I can.
No, that's cool. That's cool because you're challenging yourself. Like if you caught up with this is like too Mary Sue-ish. This is too Gary Stu-ish. Okay, I'm gonna challenge myself, and I'm gonna like push myself out of my comfort zone. So in the hopes of making the story more complex and less predictable, you know?
It's a means of conquering my own ego. And this is, I would say, Rippa's biggest Achilles heel is his hubris. He has a serious fucking ego problem.
Maybe it's just a defense mechanism because with all the bullshit he has to deal with every day, like, okay, social media will give you a big ego because it's obviously all about yourself. But when you're in fight mode, you become like a necessary asshole, as I've been known to do. Just I'm not an asshole like most of the time, only when I'm social media. So if it's hard to switch that shit off and go back to being like most Marvel writers have that problem. They stay in Twitter asshole mode 24/7.
No, I think he's always been like this. It ties into his like the hardcore music thing. He does hardcore music.
Hardcore. I thought he was a rapper.
No, he does. Do you know what hardcore? Do you know what hardcore music is?
Bad Religion.
No, Bad Religion is like it's kind of punk. They got a little overproduced eventually. Hardcore music is like Fugazi.
Okay.
Biohazard.
Right.
Biohazard is probably the biggest hardcore band, the one that had the most mainstream success.
All right. I actually like music.
But when were Biohazard good? 1995.
Yeah, the last good song that I can remember was in the soundtrack of Demon Knight. That was 1995. In effect, yes.
Hardcore music had its day, but the problem with hardcore music is that it's really homogenous and it's very orthodox, and it's oddly enough very xenophobic. And when I say xenophobic, I don't mean ethnically, I mean stylistically. Right. There's like 3 hardcore songs, and they pretty much all go like that's hardcore music. And
give me a second. I managed to make my headphones work. I'll be back.
Nice. I like hardcore music, or at least I liked it a lot better in the 90s because it was new to me. But it doesn't change and it doesn't evolve. And the people in the hardcore scene, they don't change and evolve either. The only evolution that I've really seen happen to hardcore music is that everyone became a fucking junkie at one point. It's not interesting to me. They don't do new things. They don't innovate. They just make the same 3 songs over and over again and act like aggressive assholes that are confused as to why their music doesn't find any success and why they can never make money off their bands. Like there's like maybe a half a dozen hardcore bands that actually made a living doing it. The rest, everybody else is working like shit.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, your mic's a little low.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck is going on. Give me.
Well, I can probably control that.
Testing. Yeah, I don't know.
No, it's good, dude. I'll just pop the volume up a little bit. Don't worry about it.
All right. I can hear myself for some reason. All right. Testing. How about now?
Yeah, you're good. I popped up the level a little bit.
Okay. So yeah, I can think of what's her name? Defcon DOS. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I don't think so.
Remember the movie Day of the Beast by Alex de la Iglesia?
Yes.
Well, they made the song in the main titles, and I think the end credits was Defcon DOS, like a Spanish hardcore band, and they have like split up and like reform and regroup like several times, and the only constant is that they always do the same type of music. And it was cool when you were 15 and they made songs about fucking Hellraiser. They made songs about Hellraiser. They made songs about like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and about like RoboCop and like all sorts of like cool shit. But now they're like 50 something, and they make songs about how much of a pain in the ass paying rent is and driving the kids to school. It's it's not the same, dude. It's like it's been 30 years,
Why don't we sell 1 million records? Well, because there aren't 1 million people who like what you're doing, and you don't do things interestingly enough to appeal to new people. I went to a hardcore show a couple of years ago, and it was like I don't know, a $20 ticket or something, and there were maybe 150 people in the audience, maybe 20 people under 30. It was the same people that were at the hardcore show in the 90s. Half of them have been to rehab. The scene's dead. Like, it exists. It's like a Ouroboros of a scene. It's just the same crew going to all the shows.
It's like that scene. It's like that scene in like that Brendan Fraser, Elizabeth Harley movie where like he goes back to the disco, to like the satanic disco, and then the morning after, and they're all old and decrepit but still dancing. It's like, okay, this is
the one interesting thing that happened in hardcore is that a whole bunch of them in the mid to late 90s converted to Hare Krishna. So there were two bands that I can think of off the top of my head are Shelter and 108. So Hare Krishna, it's a very musical religion. Like, they do a lot of music, and the music is really, whether you like the religion or not, the music is actually really interesting. I like Hare Krishna music. And so these hardcore kids converted to Hare Krishna, and started working Hare Krishna music into the style of the hardcore that they were doing.
Okay, that was the least expected thing I was expecting you to say. Mixing hardcore and hardcore,
dude.
Are we gonna call it hardcore?
They called it Krishna core.
Okay.
And you're breathing pretty hard into your mic.
How about now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
It was really interesting. I really like the Krishna core stuff. Shelter in 108. If you're listening, go listen to Shelter in 108. Message of the Bhagavad is a great album. But then what happened is, as that kind of died off, because still everyone was fucking turning into a junkie. Like, weird and there's some weird shit that happened with like gun running and drug trades, and the Hare Krishnas were involved in that. I think there's a couple of books about it. They got disaffected from that. A handful of people from that world essentially invented emo. Emo back then was not what it is considered now. It was these Krishna core kids doing even more melodic music. The best example of that type of music that I can think of is a band called Texas Is the Reason. Really good fucking band.
I always thought of emo like an offshoot of goth. Like The Cure.
Yeah, no, it wasn't. I was probably the only goth guy at the emo shows back then. It's I don't see. It sucks because I can't play it. I wish I could, but Texas Is the Reason. What is the name of their? Let me see if I can. Named after a Misfits song. See if I can call up that album, because there's this one Texas Is the Reason album. It's like their first album that I walked around with in CD format in my backpack for like 4 years. They were on Revelation Records, and the album is called Do You Know Who You Are? Listen to that fucking record. It's great. But the thing is, the hardcore people sort of drifted away from that because they weren't interested in anything but
right.
And it just got boring. The reason
going back to Eric July, we wanna disclaimer: we don't believe Eric July is involved in drug trafficking or gun running.
No, I don't think so at all.
Or that he's a Hare Krishna either. I think it's pretty Christian.
I don't think that he would even listen to the Krishna. He might like some of the Krishna core stuff, but once it became emo, I think it would lose him. But the thing is, most of the guys in hardcore bands are assholes. It's part of their problem. They're egocentric assholes who don't listen to other people. There actually ended up being a fucking gang in the hardcore world called SFW, and they killed people. And they have all kinds of reason that they made up to justify it, but the reality is,
I remember that shit. Do those letters stand up for so fucking what?
No. Wait, no. It's FSU, not SFW. It's FSU.
Oh, okay.
Fucking shit up. They were just thugs that wanted an excuse to hurt people. They have all kinds of. you could argue that they were early Antifa style SJWs, because the one guy that I know of them killing, they killed because he had a Confederate flag shirt on.
Okay, yeah, I can see this shit like going way back.
Meanwhile, the guy that killed him, the ringleader of that event, had pictures of himself in front of a Confederate flag.
Huh.
So they were just hypocrites looking for reasons to beat people up. That is the problem with the hardcore scene, is that they're assholes. They're egocentric, hypocritical assholes who are braggarts, and they try to brute force their way into whatever they want. They don't reason with people, and so this is the mindset that Ripa is approaching Isom with, and it's why he can't handle criticism.
Right.
And it's like he's been like this. He's always been like this. And the thing that bothers me is that I actually really liked his video content, but you can see this braggart, blowhard. You can see this blowhard persona in his videos. It's fun when it's saying things I like, I guess. But the book is that he's hired Chuck Dixon to do number 2 could help him if he can handle Chuck Dixon making the changes that he needs to make for it to be good. And if he can, it's not going to be good. He's gonna hamstring the guy.
Hopefully, since he hired Chuck Dixon, that means he respects Chuck Dixon's opinion, so he's gonna listen to him. So otherwise, what's the fucking point?
I'm 50-50 on whether or not that's how that'll turn out. I can see it going either way. I can also see like maybe Dixon is beat down enough by industrial experience that he won't stand up for what he knows needs to happen for the book to be good. I've seen that happen. So we're ill-advised. Is that title even in there? So this is the first time I'm seeing that ISO number 1 is called Ill-Advised. Let's just see if that title is yes, it is. All right, it's on the very opening page. All right, that's in there. Where is it? Avery Silman was once an entry-level hero known as Isom in the city of Florespark, Texas, shortly after gaining his special abilities. A certain event had him hang up his suit, and now he stays on the outskirts of the city living as a rancher. He's not living as a rancher. He's running a factory farm. That's an industrial factory farm. And he's got a personal football field size track and field arena. That totally isn't a self-insert when it's written by a guy whose one of his main things was track and field. Yeah, totally. Avery's sister, Altona, gives him a call and wants him to visit an old friend by the name of Darren Fontano. What's weird about their relationship is he goes to this club that Darren runs looking for this girl, and Darren just pops off on him. He's like, like something like, we were never friends. I just felt bad for you. Like, you never tried anything. And he reveals that Avery was a mid-level at best student. He did not, like, he would have not testing, not audition, but he tried out for like whatever sport, and he didn't pass the tryout. And so Darren had all this, he reveals that he had all this contempt for Avery because he wasn't a high achiever. But Darren's, so far from what I can tell, he's a pimp and a drug runner running a nightclub. That's not exactly a high achiever when it comes to school.
That doesn't sound like the plot for a superhero comic either. Like, it's more of a crime drama, which is I'm cool with, but I don't know why you have to like encompass it in the superhero genre,
So far in the first episode, it looks like Darren's being set up as sort of like a Wilson Fisk. But he instead, like, when Wilson Fisk gets into fights, he gets into fights. When Darren Fontano gets into fights, he runs and hides while security handles the fight. Let's see, another family friend that was in what? Another family friend that was interning with Altona has gone missing, and she last heard that she was dealing with Darren. This whole paragraph is not well written. But Darren has much changed. Come on, dude. Rewrite your shit. Read it aloud. See, this is the thing. When you write, you need to read it aloud so that you can hear how it sounds. But Darren has much changed since he was hanging out with Avery when they were young. He's a cold-blooded shot caller and one of the most feared men in the city. I mean, that's kind of a Wilson Fisk type character. He's just a serious bitch. This visit turns into one of the longest days in Avery's life. Around these parts, people call special beings accepts. They're accepts. They're exceptionals. Canales, his heroes are exceptional individuals.
I've heard better names to call them.
Do you know that term in internet parlance? Exceptional individual.
Exceptional.
Autist.
What's okay? No, now we're getting
exceptional
somewhere.
Individual is internet parlance for autists, and so
Okay.
it's like Ripa needs some self-awareness here, because, like I said earlier, I do think that he's on the spectrum. I genuinely think that. And he needs some self-awareness about that. And unfortunately, part of one of the qualities of being on the spectrum is that you don't have much self-awareness. But he's calling his heroes exceptional individuals, and he's probably on the spectrum.
It still sounds better than specials. I'm special.
It's hard to come up with a term these days because mutants was always the best term, but Marvel owns that.
I like metahumans because it like includes everyone, like aliens or mutants or like freak accidents. I always like that.
Yeah,
above
it always
like the average human.
Metahuman always felt very GURPS to me.
Wait, what?
GURPS, generic universal role playing system.
Okay, yeah. I know what GURPS is. Yeah.
It felt very GURPS to me, and it works in a GURPS tabletop role playing set context, but for a comic book, it always felt stilted. It always felt like not quite right. Like maybe there was a better term. It's hard to come up with anything that's going to beat mutants. It just is. Let's see. And unfortunately for Avery, he has the luxury of running into some of them, except for he doesn't really. It's very short. The Alpha Core, which you see in the book for 2 pages, and Yara, which you see in the book for like 3 pages. This is out of 100 pages. Have their own set of conflicts. A man built like a tank by the name of Santuan, I don't know if we get his name, reappears, and he's had previous confrontation with Avery. So what happens with Avery and Darren's meeting? Who and where is the family friend? Just grab Isome number 1, ill-advised, Streets of Fire, the Autist edition, and find out for yourself.
Okay, no hate towards Eric July, but that doesn't sound like something I would be dying to read. Like, it's fine. It's like a family drama crime genre, but like with superpower individuals. It's fine.
Yeah, a third of the book is I don't know if anybody else uses this term, but it's what is the term? Hang on, I wrote it down. Expository interaction.
Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah,
like he's talking to his sister about stuff for like a third of the book, and this is supposed to be an image style action book.
You're supposed to start like, you remember Decimators? You may have heard about that comic, but yes. The very first page of Decimators, I wanted them to jump out of like an air carrier down into the reader, because that's how Image comics are supposed to start. I remember Image comics like Youngblood and whatever, Prophet and all those comics, they all started like that. Like the main characters in a cool pose jumping towards the reader, and like you have a bunch of like captions explaining what's going on. Like you start in media res. So if you want to make a 90s style comic, you have to prioritize action and cool shots, and plot and character development takes a backseat. For better or worse, that's how 90s comics were.
Something that Imega and I were talking about is how, like, what Image's weakness was in the writing, but there was so much action and style in their books that it took a while for anyone to actually care.
Yep. Especially Youngblood. Like, you can tell that
Yeah.
Rob Liefeld didn't give two shits about the plot, and he only wanted to like design cool characters. So every issue read like a number one, because he would like keep introducing new characters. Oh, this is Die Hard, and this is whatever. This is like a Jack Kirby clone with a cool armor and like pair of like massive guns, and this is like I don't give a fuck about plot. Just give me cool characters and like people jumping towards the reader. So if you wanna make a 90s style comic, that's what you gotta do.
And then someday we'll actually explain why they were doing what they were doing, but not today.
Yeah, and then like in 5 years' time, we will hire Warren Ellis, and he will like retool the whole thing and tell you what the fuck the story was about.
I mean, the idea. It's okay that the idea is Streets of Fire. It's okay that can be worked with. But keep in mind, you're doing Streets of Fire, and like do it some justice, man. Like put the work in. We're
talking about Walter Hill. Walter Hill used to be Sam Peckinpah's screenwriter, so that means you have like big shoes to fill,
Yeah. So I'm just scrolling down. There are some pages in here. Yeah, I have cover C. Alpha Core. This is Alpha Core. I think that the costumes they're all like, I get it. It's supposed they're like a government superhero team, so there's a uniformity to it, but it doesn't. They're too uniform for me, or maybe it's like they're not they're right in that middle. They either need to be totally uniform, like the Kryptonians in the Superman movie,
right,
where they all have the same exact uniform on, or they have to be less uniform.
Because so my main problem with this suit is that it looks like, in the Ultimates, there's this panel in which every country reveals that they've been working on their own Captain project, and there's like a Captain Spain and a Captain France and a Captain whatever, and they're like tiny and in the background, and that's how they all look like. They're like, like a skin tight bodysuit, like I don't know, 3-4 colors, and that's just have them flying around. That's the impression I'm getting from this. Like again, if you want to be 90s, the suit has to be outrageous and has to be like shoulder pads and knee pads and body armor and pouches and shit. This is like the skeleton of the suit. You have to like put fucking shoulder patterns on it.
It's almost there. It's just there were decisions that were not made that needed to be made. Well, and so I'm not religious, but the cross on the crotch thing, like there are a lot of reasons why there's some heresy in Isome's costume design. So part of the story, Isome isn't an exceptional.
Okay.
That's part of the story. He has powers, but he's not an exceptional.
So let me get this straight. So exceptional describes a person who has acquired powers somehow, but if this like just like metahumans describes anyone who's like above human, regardless of how they develop their powers.
So they're well, it's not fleshed out because he wrote it all in one draft, but it's essentially metahuman, and they seem to by and large have the same suite of powers with a little flair here and there. Super strength, durability, flight, speed. They don't, like, if you look here, where is it? If you look here, two of Alpha Core can fly. This chick I think can't fly, so this guy's carrying her. But there's a homogeneity. Like it seems like there's the same suite with a little flair here and there,
right?
Of powers across.
So again, there's nothing wrong with the art, but this definitely needs a sack to tell you why it's like it could be better. Because if Zack is good on something, that's what he excels at. He's like a very good like comic art teacher, so to speak.
He's a guy that should be running a publishing company. He just needs to control his autism.
We all know.
Yeah, this Isome poster here by Bruno Abdias, it's good, right? But the costume reveal that's in the book is like a third of this quality.
And also, I
And
wouldn't like if I was tasked with drawing a character in an epic pose, I wouldn't go with an overhead shot, because
yeah, okay.
you give it like, you make it like a, what's the opposite of an overhead shot? When you shoot him from below his waist, to make him look like bigger and more epic.
Yeah, I forget what that's called.
It's a
So Lenny,
contrapical in Spanish, like back from when I used to make movies with my mates in art school. But yeah, it's you shoot him from behind to make him look as if the reader is below him, so he's like bigger and more imposing. That is not a bad drawing, but that is not the angle I would go with.
So far, from what I can tell, Isome has strength, speed, and durability. There's a scene where he's fighting this big dude and he runs at a wall and he jumps up onto the wall, and when he hits the wall, his toes kick holes into the fucking brick wall. Okay. So if he's not an exceptional, that means he's somewhere in the Captain America range.
But Captain America is also exceptional because he's a super soldier. Like, he's up above the average soldier.
But what the super soldier serum did was it maxed out his human potential. So he's still not in super strength. I mean, that has to have changed over time. But the general canon is that super soldier serum maxed him out at human potential. What I'm getting at here is that there is no single way that any human being who is not a super meta exceptional can kick holes into a brick wall by jumping at it.
I mean, I think that's pretty fucking exceptional.
It is pretty exceptional. So how do we think Ripa is going to say that Isome got it? I know how he's going to. I know what he's going to do. How do we think that Ripa is going to say Isome got his powers?
Through the power of faith.
Going to be faith and training. Faith and training. Faith.
I mean,
I'm
a fan. I'm a fan of like badass normals, as TV Tropes puts it. I'm a fan of guys like Batman or the Punisher, whose only superpower is to like be super disciplined and super motivated and super focused, and like, I like that shit. And I like when one of those guys is able to take on like a superpower being, like, type of Spider-Man or whatever, it's like these superhuman powers through a freak accident. But it's like, it's gotta be. I don't know, man. There's gotta be a limit. I don't think he's gonna go down that route, because
badass normal can't lift a car over his head.
They can fly, dude. But that's normal. They can. If you can fly, then you are exceptional, because as far as I know, nobody can fly.
Well, Isome can't fly. That's one thing. There's a part in the book where he's like, through all my training, I ended up being able to do a lot of things that exceptionals can do, but flying ain't one of them. Which
okay
I like, that's not. I don't think that's bad writing. It's just he's not defining Isome's powers well, and he's not being, and I use this word very loosely, realistic. And by realistic, I mean within internal continuity of the distinctions you've made.
Universe logic.
It's not realistic to say that the power of training and faith can give you superhuman strength, period. There's one fight where he punches, like Dick Masterson described it as punching a guy's heart through his chest.
Oh shit!
No human being can do that.
Well, my dad maybe can do that, but I'm not willing to try. Actually, my dad almost got that done to him when he was a kid.
Dude, I was gonna say that actually.
Yeah.
It's just like, you can't punch through a guy's fucking chest. Like,
no, that's not how it works.
Breaks the skin in the bone and puts his fist through that isn't. It's just it's one draft writing of an autist.
Just to be clear, we don't hate Eric, okay? Because we're gonna come off as I don't know, Anthony Gramuglia friends who hate Eric just because
I don't hate him. I don't hate him, no, and I don't hate Isome either. But I hate how he's been behaving.
To be honest, I
I'm gonna give you
haven't
an
witnessed
example.
any of that. Okay, because I haven't
Okay, well,
witnessed any of that.
yeah.
So, yeah, give me examples.
Well, I had a couple interactions with Ripa where I was like, nobody's saying what's good about the story, and he started playing the fucking artist subjective. It sold this many copies, that means it's good. Bullshit. Bullshit. You know that argument is bullshit. And then he started playing the artist subjective bullshit. Also bullshit. I think he kind of, on some level, is aware that the script isn't very good, but he can't admit it. And that,
well, as I said, you're in
infuriates
fight
me.
mode. You're in social media fighter mode, so you can't give them you can't give them an inch. You gotta keep pushing. So
Yeah.
I understand him being in that
But what's the
mindset.
But what's the first thing I say whenever I release a Midnight Chrome piece?
Roast me, basically.
Yeah, please give me criticism because I can't make it better because it's all in my head and I need to see how other people react to it.
I completely agree.
I beg for criticism.
Mhm.
I value criticism more than praise. Not that I don't appreciate praise, I really do, but that doesn't help me make it better.
I mean, isn't that what CG is predicated upon? Like, we listen to
That's what I
fans
thought.
and like the mainstream.
But the bigger people involved with it seem to get, the less they seem to appreciate that. So here's something, and this is fucking Vito. I showed this earlier. This is fucking Vito, and he's got a place on the Shark Island. I fucking hate Vito. So I'm saying if he says, I have loose confirmation that Eric July privately contacted the @Ripa Goalposts account, and that's an account that disses on Ripa. I thought that it was an account that was complimenting him at first, but then over time I proved wrong about that. And told them to stop discussing me and Dick Masterson as our critiques were too damaging to the Rippaverse brand. Wrong, Eric. Wrong. Your bad writing is too damaging to the Rippaverse brand. It's an abdication of responsibility on your part for all your fucking bluster and blowhardness.
I don't think criticism, if it's not malicious, it's like, as we're doing, it's constructive. I don't think it can be damaging to a brand because, I mean, look at Transformers. Transformers made a fucking bazillion dollars and it still got terrible criticism.
What makes it bad when it's malicious is that it's disingenuous and not even necessarily accurate.
Or when they're trying to defame the creator as someone you shouldn't give your money to, because they're using it to pay for underage prostitutes and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's what I call malicious. But if they're just saying, I don't like the story because this should, like, as we're doing, like, this should have happened, like, this should be written this way, this should be drawn this way. I don't think that's malicious, dude. I think that's, when people tell me that, yeah, I mean, I've been getting that shit since Ironsides 1 got produced because I didn't think it was going to be that big. I was like, just, not half-assing it, but it was just another job for me. And then people started like micro-analyzing it and like actually gave me feedback, and I was like, oh shit, man, they're right.
Well, you've improved a lot since Ironsides 1.
That's because I listen to what people say and I look for tutorials and shit.
My interest in Ironsides 1 was fully knowing that it was not image quality art. It was a pulp style that was supposed to be dirty and gritty.
Actually, my approach, my artistic approach to it, was my main influences in that age were Ben Templesmith and what's that other guy, Brett Welderly, who drew the Southland Tales comic book. I don't know if you know him. Seen Southland Tales?
Who's that Milo guy? I think he's a Spanish artist. Hang on, let me look him up. Yeah, Milo Manara.
Oh, well, yeah, no, he's Italian. Holy shit, Milo Manara. Jesus.
I saw some Milo Manara in that, and even some Mobius.
Really? Well, thank you.
Yeah, I definitely, not quite there, but I saw the seeds of it.
I mean, Mobius. Yeah, Mobius has influenced me a lot because I think it was like the first author that my dad introduced me to. So I was like, yeah, I gotta be like Mobius to be good.
Of course, Frank Miller too. Like,
of course.
Not quite there, but
I've always been attracted. I've always been more attracted to like sketchy, impressionistic styles, and even though I'm like a figurative, realistic European style admirer, like as you said, Moebius or Manara or Enki Bilal, my style has always tried to be like more sketchy and rough and impressionistic. Because that's the sort of shit I like to do.
And look at this. Even the Farms acknowledged Canales had improved.
Oh, well, thank you, Farms.
And you weren't a cunt about criticism. That's the important thing. Like, the criticism was important to you and it mattered, and that's how you got better. What really, I don't, you know, this may be false. But what really bothers me is him telling someone else what they can and can't tweet about. Fuck you for that. Sincerely, fuck you for that. And also,
I'm a free speech absolutist. I'm a free speech
Yeah.
absolutist. So if you want to discuss my stuff, go ahead and discuss it. I don't have the right to control your speech, you know?
He apparently gave the same no contact order to his employees, which to some degree, okay. So if you're going to say, look, just don't argue with people about our product on social media, that's fine, right? Because you want the company line to be the company line. I understand that, but no contact, go fuck yourself. It's authoritarian.
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
It's the demand for control of someone who what is you know the person that I have experience with in that world, and what a terrible person that person turned out to be. This is that kind of behavior.
I gotta admit, it's a bit too controlling for my liking as a freedom-loving, libertarian. That's I think how I would describe myself. Go ahead.
His response to criticism, as far as I'm concerned, has been fucking atrocious and shameful. I don't, I could say a lot of other things, but it's not good. Rob Hayes with a question mark. I may have an answer if you ask a question. Let's see. So I'm scrolling down because there's some actual interiors here. This is an interior from. Wait, this isn't in the book. I don't think this is in the book. This page here might have got cut from the book. I don't recall this being in the book. This guy lying down here. Let me see. Let me flip through real quick. Okay, I see what that looks like. Where's the hoodie? It's when he has the hoodie on. Okay, there's the hoodie. There's him fighting people in the hoodie. Oh no, there it is. It is in the book. It's the second time he assaults Club Merc. He keeps running into this club with no plan and then getting his ass kicked. And so you can say getting his ass kicked takes it out of the Mary Sue thing a little bit, not enough. This is where we meet Yara and Alpha Core. This is like one of the two pages that Alpha Core are on. This is essentially the Kryptonians, right?
Right. They're the master race superhero thing, yeah.
But they're the government-funded superhero team.
We have Rob Hayes in the chat, and Rob Hayes seems to be confused about something.
Who's Rob Hayes?
I don't know. I thought you guys may know.
I thought you knew him.
Nope. What's up, Rob?
All right, this is the meta. This is actually a good shot. I like this shot. Notice there's no writing in this shot. When Isome first came out, I was really curious. I kind of figured that the writing wasn't going to be very good because there was no talk about the story going on. It was just, here's a couple of flash pictures. I was like, okay, but what's the story? And I'm just disappointed at how it turned out, and I'm disappointed at how Ripa handled response to how it turned out. I expected better of him on both fronts. Let's see. I'll go. I got some notes here. Let's see if there's anything new I can add, and then I'll wrap this topic up because I have some fun videos for us to watch.
Do you think that a fan fiction writer will be able to do something better?
Depends on the fan fiction writer. Fan fiction writers are doing a lot better than Hollywood, so there are some good fan fiction writers out there.
I've worked with several really good fan fiction writers because that's how I started. I'm sure you guys know that I got my cherry popped. Yeah, I got my cherry popped by doing like Transformers fan comics, and some of the writers were actually pretty good. So, respect to those guys.
Yeah, I think $50 was too high a price for what I got. It's weird. There's like right around the end of the book, the last third of the book somewhere, there's this ad for his wife's jewelry company. I didn't know it was for his wife's jewelry company when I first saw it. I'm like, why the fuck is there an ad in my $50 graphic novel, dude? Like, I get it. Now you want to bump your wife's jewelry company. This isn't the place to do that. That's fucking stupid. No memorable characters. I can't remember Isome's real name. Lack of clear motive and character. Isome rejects the quest, claims not to care about Jasmine. The only clear motive he states and sticks with is the one he comes up with after the fact, and that's getting revenge on the club owner for disrespecting him, which, there we tie into black stereotypes of behavior, caring more about being disrespected than anything really important. Rob Hayes says, I'm a drop-in who has no idea what you are on about. This is about fiction writing. We're talking about a comic. We're going to talk about a couple other things. We're moving into wrapping up the topic. But we're talking about a comic by Eric July, Young Ripa, called Isome #1. It is a comic that did very well in sales. The story is not very well written. Eric has admitted that he did it in one draft, which is a terrible fucking idea. He's not a very good writer.
What?
Yep.
What?
Oh,
and by the way, both Troth, because we're to be Midnight, Meg and myself were comic book creators to some degree. We're either writers or artists. So
Yeah.
We're discussing like creative writing, comic book making stuff.
And he's been handling the criticism very badly. I think that I'll get to what there is something that I really like about Isome, and I'll get to that after I'm done with this list.
Midnight.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting you, but did you ever saw that segment from Family Guy in which Brian is with? Who was the name of this guy? I forgot his name. I continue. I remember, and I tell you.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's something that is similar to what happened to Eric July.
Does it have something to do with Brian's book?
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured it would out. I don't know. Family Guy all melts together into one long episode for me. Isome seems autistic. No single villain defined. This is a big problem. We aren't sure who the bad guy nemesis of Isome is. It's looking like it might be Darren, but you've got Alpha Core in there. You've got Yara in there. And like, if Darren is the nemesis, he's just a normie pimp drug dealer. Like, there's not much to him. Going in the direction of Wilson Fisk. What is it?
Is when he goes to Bill Maher's show. You have seen that?
I don't. I know who Werner Herzog is, but I don't remember the Family Guy spot. Do you remember it?
Did you say Bernard Herzog or Bill Mayer?
Bill Mayer.
Bill Mayer, yeah.
Oh, Bill Mayer.
Bill Mayer, Mayer, yeah. Whatever the fuck you pronounce it.
Yeah, that old guy.
I don't remember a Family Guy's section involving Bill Mayer.
So please explain to us, Omega, what happened.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing about this is this part of the episode is that it's not cartoonish. I mean, the only cartoonish character is Brian. The other guys are the real guys in real life, portraying their own selves. And Brian goes there to promote his own book. And obviously, Bill and the other guy says that it's a very stupid book because, for a start, it only has 50 pages written. And Brian says, well, what do you expect? I write it everything in one night.
Right.
You should have said, what do you expect? I'm a dog.
And when you mentioned this about Eric July and making all this in one draft, he reminded me of Brian when he said, I wrote this in one night.
It's okay. Listen,
it's not like
I don't necessarily have anything against people who write things in one draft. I've done so myself several times actually. But what I do is like I go back and reread, and if something doesn't sound right, I will like rewrite or like introduce things to like justify things that are happening later on in the plot.
Yeah,
Stuff like that. So
I do the same
even if
thing.
it's just one draft, I will still like rewrite it. So I don't know if that counts as a second draft or whatever.
I don't have the ability to do one draft. I first draft comes out, I read it aloud to myself, and I'm already restructuring everything.
In my case, I do it because I want to revision everything and make sure that, for example, the age of the characters match. Okay.
Yeah.
Because in one occasion, I was writing two characters who adopt a girl. Okay. And when I was writing the birth dates of every single one of the characters, I didn't notice until many years later that the age of the little girl and the age of the woman who adopted her were the same.
Oh.
It's like, that doesn't have fucking sense.
If you're going to tout that you did it in one draft as a point of pride, that one draft better be fucking good.
Yeah.
And I guess there are people who can do that. I'm not one of them. I don't know. Maybe I can, but I wouldn't want to. And this isn't. So you're patting yourself on the back for fucking up, and you just can't admit you fucked up. Let's see. No single villain defined. How does Isom have enough money to own that farm that he does nothing but train on all day? These are all questions that good writers ask themselves.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, okay, so this guy's a normie basically, and he got his powers through like the power of faith and hard work, but that doesn't justify him having like a fucking massive industrial farm with like his own.
Well, the thing, if you're a good writer, what you do is you say, okay, Isom retired from being a superhero and then ended up with the farm. Well, the reason that he retired had something to do with putting something very valuable in his hands.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
And now there may be other ways to go it, but a good writer sees that immediately.
Or maybe that's what he retired with. Like he got a shitload of money from the government for his provided services. So he like invested everything in this massive farm. Yep. He's now a massive farm owner.
Or maybe, maybe the farm is a front. The farm could be a front.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to. I guess we'll have to have faith in Eric July. Maybe we'll fix it like the next issue, or Chuck will. I don't know.
Isom is not an accept, but a normal average guy who trained hard enough to compete with accepts. That isn't going to give him the ability to punch through a rib cage or kick holes into a brick wall.
Yeah, that's not.
All accepts seems to have the same suite of powers. Did that? No interaction or fight with Alpha Core. Overall bland and boring design. Excessive off-camera, off-screen referencing, show don't tell. This is something I do this a lot. If you listen to the Midnight Chrome stuff I put up, there's tons of off-screen referencing going on. When you have the addition of a visual medium, you got to rein that in a little bit. That's not good for a comic book thing. If you're doing the image style action thing, you got to rein that in a little bit. Dick Masterson made a point. You should choose what powers, and Eric did choose. Everyone has the same powers. Let's see. Cover is very in the pocket of 90s image, a la quality and style, but costume design is drab. Isom's only interaction with these three Alpha Core is as a bystander. Let's see. There might be one or two other good points here, and then I'll wrap it up. No, nothing good there. I think I just about covered it all. There's a Isom number 2 could be good. Chuck Dixon's writing it. He could save it. I think it takes a lot of balls to put out $100 fucking graphic novel. He's got an edition of Isom number 2 that is $100. That takes a lot of fucking balls.
I mean, yeah, let's not disrespect, pun intended, Eric Sefor. Like he's got a lot of qualities.
I don't mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a good way. I think that's entitlement.
I was wondering.
considering the quality of ISOM #1, that wasn't worth $50 as far as I'm concerned. Like, I'm not buying ISOM #2. I'm not paying another $50. I hope people like it. I hope it's good, but it's not worth it to me.
How much is the second issue?
I would guess that you can get your entry level book without perks for $50, and then there's the add-ons where one is $100.
Let's see.
I was a bit annoyed than most might be that there was a fucking advertisement in my $50 graphic novel. So I mean, the thing that I like. Let's talk. Let me wrap this topic up with the thing that I like about ISOM. It's got nothing to do with the book. The structure that he set up to distribute the book is excellent. The Rippaverse website, the pre-ordering structure, even the hype structure. Like, people didn't buy ISOM because ISOM's good. They bought ISOM because they like Rippa. I have a problem with that, because that's the same reason that SJW, Marvel, and DC wanted people to buy their trash product, because they like them, not because the product was good.
It's the same problem. You're supposed to, apparently, according to Marvel and DC, you're supposed to buy the comic book because it was made by the first transgender lesbian Eskimo. I don't know. And it's the same thing for ISOM. You're supposed to buy it because Eric July made it, and you are an Eric July fan, right? That's not why I buy comic books. Like, yes, I may have been a Warren Ellis fan at some point, or a Pat Mills fan, but I buy them because I like the story. I find it interesting. I find it appealing.
I can't stand Stephen King, but his writing up until the 90s was great.
I would agree on that, actually. Is when, to quote Jay from Red Letter Media, when Cocaine was his co-writer, his books were actually pretty good. Then he detoxed and lost something, dude. He lost something.
But for example, this is a related topic. What happens when the author or writer has done some questionable actions? And this comes to my mind because I don't know if you saw that a new anime version of Rurouni Kenshin is being announced.
Oh yeah.
Keep going. I gotta mute for a second. I'm listening.
And you might remember that the author, Watsuki, got in troubles with the law a couple of years ago.
Was he the guy who was caught with child porn in his computer?
No, he was not caught with child porn in his computer. He was caught with some DVDs that had child porn.
Okay, well, same difference, yeah.
Yeah. The problem is that it's also the fault of Japanese law, because in Japan, based on what I have read, it was still legal until 2014, and he was arrested in 2017. So the guy, who is a complete weeb, didn't have an idea that it become illegal, and he never got rid of them.
But apart from being illegal, I don't think it's the legality of the actions that should worry you. It's the morality.
That's another problem. Because
I don't give a fuck if it's
legal or not. You gotta go in the wood chipper.
Yeah.
Then again, I don't know. Are we talking about actual child porn, or is it just girls with skinny girls with tiny tits dressed up as high school girls? Because
I don't know. I don't know.
Fan of that either. I'm just saying it's it's not the same thing. And maybe the law encompasses all of that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
So the thing that I like about the Rippaverse is that the structure that Eric has set up to take orders and distribute is excellent, and the print quality of the book is really good. Like the colors are great; they're very crisp. I mean, relative to what was delivered, they're excellent. The paper stock is excellent. The delivery time was very fast. It was within a couple of days.
Yeah, from an industrial point of view, is no criticism there.
So the strength that Rippa has to offer is that production apparatus, and he may have something to offer as a general idea man, a sort of Stan Lee, try and avoid doing what Stan Lee did, which is taking credit for other people's work. But he's not a good writer. I don't think he's going to become a good writer. I don't think he wants to become a good writer. I think he thinks he's a good writer as is and doesn't need to improve. So he's not going to. Hopefully he lets the chef cook and lets Chuck Dixon make a good book. That will take killing some of his sacred cows and deflating some of his ego, at least on the page.
Well, in the case of Stan Lee, some people later criticized him because his stories were not really that innovative compared to writers who came later to work on Marvel.
Well, here's the thing: like Stan Lee wasn't particularly. It's like the Beatles. You know, they weren't particularly groundbreaking because of their technique. They were just groundbreaking because they were the first to do so. And Stan Lee was the first to like create a superhero group, or like, you know, well, let's make a more realistic superhero with like an everyday man's problems, like paying the rent or getting along with his girlfriend. It's not like it doesn't take a lot of talent to write that. You just have to come up with the idea, you know. So that in that regard, I think that's what's admirable from coming from Stan Lee. He's the idea man. He has good ideas.
Because which character was Daredevil? I mean, Frank Miller might not be the creator of Daredevil, but his run is pretty much the standard.
Daredevil writer. Exactly.
He's the standard of Daredevil.
Exactly.
Rob Hayes says most people aren't self-critical. That's true, and that's a big fucking problem. That's true, and that's a big fucking problem.
That's why it pains me to see so many comic book creators, not just comic books, like creators, artistic creators in general, having such a powerful tool as social media to interact with the fans, so they can tell you firsthand what worked or didn't work for them. That's super powerful for a creator. Also, you didn't like that. How many people more didn't like that? You didn't like. Okay, I'm gonna fucking fix it. I'm gonna change it in my next novel or book or whatever.
The in-depth criticism that I've seen Comicsgate and independent comics creators spit in the face of, quite honestly, is stuff that I wish I could get when I put out creative product. It's the most valuable thing to me is criticism.
I remember
real criticism, not like making shit up to be an asshole. I mean, like real criticism.
Just fucking this guy in the background is badly drawn. Yeah, because it's like one of 17 characters that are drawn in the background just to be the background. It's not important. But you know, I remember
we know the difference between real criticism and just being a cunt.
Yes. When they're actually trying to give you criticism and they're just trying to hurt you because they personally dislike you. And as I've said several times, I myself could be fucking I don't know, James Joyce mixed with fucking Albrecht Dürer when it comes to art duties, and they would still think I suck because of who I am. That's the problem. So, and I think I mentioned this before. I remember Richard Pace. Richard Pace is not too bright, and he was trying to hurt me in front of like Renfamos and all these people, but he actually gave me a lot of useful criticism. He told me, hey, you fucking asshole had too many tangents in this panel, and this other panel doesn't work because you're replicating the same camera angle. I was like, oh shit, that's actually pretty good advice.
Okay, that actually works.
Yeah, I'm actually taking notes. Like, I know you're trying to hurt me, but okay, that actually, thanks, I guess.
Yep. On the first Midnight Chrome piece I put out, someone said that there was no, this is very technical, said that there was no content on the center channel. This is an audio thing. And I was like, oh, fuck. That's what I forgot to deal with. I forgot to deal with that. So now I make sure to deal with that and the rest of the stuff. They were trying to be an asshole otherwise, and they didn't have criticism for the actual, like, overall production, but as far as the, like, call it the mix or the master, I fucked up and forgot the censor channel. I just completely forgot about it. I fixed that in later stuff.
So, you know, even when they're, as you see, children, even when people are trying to be assholes, you shouldn't immediately dismiss them, because even an asshole can be right, I don't know, twice a day or twice a year, because an asshole. It's not a clock. It's just a thing in the middle of your ass. Moving on.
So, yeah, moving on to another topic. There's a couple of videos that came out this week. Hey, Canals, watch your breath.
All right. Sorry about that. We're just
No
leaning back
worries.
because I'm really lazy. The Spaniard.
A couple of interesting airplane videos came out this week. Did you guys see the lady freaking out about aliens on the?
Oh yeah,
on the plane?
yeah. He was freaking out about this reptilian sitting next to her in a plane, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty.
All right. This is a 30-second video, so it's not going to take us long to watch it.
Say whatever you want. I'm telling you, I'm getting the fuck off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the fuck off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two fucks, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and you can fucking die with them or not. I'm not going to.
What do you think? What do you guys think is going on here?
I actually watched the video by the Quartering yesterday in which he spoke about it, and he says that the guy who was being accused of not being real published a video on TikTok saying that he was actually a Freemason. He was talking to this lady about Freemasonry and she freaked out, so he just trolled him. But then I read in the comments that he's not the actual person. He's just some cloud chaser trying to, like, cloud out of it. So this thing is like pretty fucking weird. What's really going on here?
Do you think she's loaded?
She sounds articulate. That's what
She sounds scared, but not high or drunk, right?
Yeah, no,
like,
she sounds
sound
sane.
There is insanity that can sound like this.
I guess.
But
I mean, we've only heard like talk for like 10 seconds, so
Yeah, I'm not getting anything to. Nothing's making me say this is that insanity. Like she sounds terrified. That's the personality divergence that I'm hearing in her. She sounds scared, and she sounds genuinely scared. This is how They Live 2 starts.
Maybe she's mentally ill.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe, but I don't like. There's other things I need to see her behaving in other situations to lean in that direction. The only thing I can genuinely attest to is that she's afraid. But like, here's how They Live 2 starts, right? We get multiple videos of people having this kind of a response in public. And then the invasion has happened. Now, I will say, I would imagine on the plane with a skinwalker is one of the safest places to be, because that skinwalker doesn't want the plane to crash with them on it. Right? Like, they don't want to die in a plane crash.
Unless they can survive the plane crash and they're gonna
or
feed on the remnants.
The problem is, the one thing that I could see being unsafe on a plane with a skinwalker is that they feed on your blood or your life energy while you're sleeping. So odds are even. Do you really do you want to be on a plane with a skinwalker? I mean, you're probably around them. If there are skinwalkers, you're probably around them all the time at this point.
I mean, I'm pretty sure I've shared spaces with skinwalkers in the past. And, there's such a thing as psychic vampires. Like, make them literal or not, there's people whom you hang out with and you will, like, shortly feel drained of all your energy and just wanting it to be over. Please leave me alone, or just fucking kill me already. I'm sure we all know someone like that. So who's to say they are not really skinwalkers,
That's how I felt around my ex-wife.
There you go.
I don't have an ex-wife. So here's the thing. Remember how I said you get multiple videos of this happening, and this is how They Live 2 starts? Well, we have another one. This one's a plane from Amsterdam.
Look at everyone filming, man.
This guy does seem
Whoa,
loaded.
whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, yo.
Can I comment on how much I dislike the person yelling "yo" all the time?
Mhm.
Shut up! You sound like that. You sound like Numi Rapaz when he's getting railed in that movie. Shut up.
Get him out. What the fuck is happening right now?
I think that they're in mid-flight in this video. Now that
No,
guy
they
seems
are-
looking
No, they were.
off
That's
his
another-
head.
No, that's another video
Oh,
that
they
I
weren't.
saw on the Quarter Inch channel, and yeah, they were actually mid-flight, and the guy was attempting to unlock the door.
No, it was.
Oh yeah.
They debunked it. It was before the flight started.
Oh, okay.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay. Was the plane taxiing? Was it moving?
No, actually, they stopped because this guy was making a scene.
Many years ago, this is probably like 20 years ago. I remember reading an article where this dude, it might have been before was it before the air marshals were on flights? This guy ran at the cockpit and tried to get into the cockpit. And so some passengers tackled him and ended up choking him to death. And the story is that he was on acid and having a bad trip and lost his shit. But if there was video of that, it would probably look a lot like these videos. And if you notice, these guys tackled this guy. I do think that this guy was fucking loaded.
Well, during the 9/11 attacks, I recall that the passengers managed to subdue some of the terrorists.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's a. Whoa. Okay. The readers added context they thought people might want to know. It says this was in Zadar, Croatia. The plane was on the runway at the moment of the event. Other passengers alleged that the man seemed to be very intoxicated with something other than alcohol. Why? Wait, Croatia? That lady doesn't look like the lady that was filming this. Doesn't look like the type of person that goes to Croatia. So unless it was like a stopover on the way somewhere else,
They all
that
sound really
seems
British, to be honest.
the yo people sound American. That guy sounded British.
Well, to
There's
be
plenty of
fair,
weird shit.
we are in summer already, so people are going on vacation.
Yeah, that's true. There's plenty of weird shit going on with people at the moment. That's true. There is plenty of weird shit. Maybe the vax. I don't think the vax is making people act weird. Well,
No.
indirectly, I think it is. But like,
I mean,
in this manner,
I
don't-
think it's pretty
don't
clear
think
it can create like neurological problems, like happened with Bruce Willis. I'm pretty sure that was jab induced.
that poor son of a bitch.
I'm gonna miss him.
Yeah, I feel really bad for him. He was in some great movies. And so you two Dagos don't have this appreciation, but the United States just had our 4th of July, which is our remind the British that we can blow them up at any moment holiday.
Excuse me. As a Basque man who are
Yeah.
obsessed with becoming independent from the Spaniards, I appreciate the sentiment in the 4th of July. And I was in Britain the 4th of July, but what you don't know is that I was actually leaving Britain the 4th of July. So top that. How are
Did
you going
you-
to celebrate the 4th of July even better than that?
I guess
how
that
was your
the Spaniards doesn't have something similar because pretty much you were the conquerors all your life.
Well, because we are all pussies.
So
I
no
mean, we
4th
still
of July,
celebrate. We
no
still
4th of July,
celebrate it.
and no 16th of September. I am right.
We actually celebrate the Dia de la Hispanidad, which is I think early October. We celebrate having conquered a shitload of countries and having turned them into like Spanish speakers. And
Okay.
of course, I mean it's pretty cool. Like they were like, hey, we take out the tanks and the army, and they like do a parade and shit, and like all the leftists piss their pants and like, oh, there's nothing to celebrate because Columbus murdered. Shut up.
it's kind of like the opposite of 4th of July if you think about it.
No, absolutely. We're celebrating our power as an imperial power.
Hero 92694 Abel has arrived and just in time for the discussion about 4th of July.
Okay.
I took it pretty easy on 4th of July. I didn't get that Monday off, so I couldn't take like a long vacation. Like my boss, I really like my boss, but he took that fucking Monday off.
Oh, everyone in my work already. We say we are not gonna go that day.
You have Cinco de Mayo. That's like Mexican Independence Day, isn't it?
No, it's 15 and 16 of September.
What is that day called?
Day of Independence.
Oh,
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo is the Battle of Cinco de Mayo.
Is there a holiday related to in Mexico?
To what?
I don't know, something about Mexican independence?
Yeah, 15 and 16 of September.
Oh, that's it? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
So
that's when they started the war against the Spaniards.
Let's see.
I think Cinco de Mayo
says, I had a great 4th of July. I spent it with my mother, father, sister, and brother-in-law watching Independence Day. It's a good movie. I like that.
Yeah,
movie.
this way.
I saw that movie.
I think I'd rather watch The Patriot, actually, with Mel Gibson, scalping Brits.
Oh, that's a good one, too.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
What were you going to say about Cinco de Mayo?
I was going to say that I think Cinco de Mayo is just a way for Spanish speakers to celebrate the fact that they still look brown after we've conquered them. they talk about la raza, ay la raza. So, Spaniards are not a race, so I guess they're celebrating like being native, like still retaining some native DNA or something. I don't know.
If my memory doesn't fail, the reason why they celebrated in the United States is because when the Mexicans won the battle against the French army on Cinco de Mayo, the celebration was even got into California, and the Mexicans who were living there were celebrating, and the Americans were saying, "Hey, what the fuck is happening here?" It's because our neighbors over the side of the border beat the living shit out of the French. That's why.
There is so I've made these statements before. I don't think women should be in positions of authority, and
this is why I like you.
Relative, yeah. And this tweet is a perfect example of why women don't fucking belong in positions of authority. Sioux Falls Police Department. What is that? Sioux Falls, Wyoming, Sioux Falls, Colorado, something like that.
I think it's South Dakota or North Dakota because it's really close to Minneapolis, according to the Coen brothers.
That makes sense. We're back at it again. It's exhausting being the bad guys, but someone has to do it. It's not worth the $107.50 citation. So these two ladies are congratulating themselves for using their authority to fine someone for lighting off fireworks on the 4th of July. Now, there are states where fireworks are legal. There are states where fireworks are legal, like on the 4th of July, like they make exceptions. And then there are states where fireworks are illegal. I fucking hate it. Fireworks should not be illegal. Like, I get it if you don't want people blowing off fireworks on an average Tuesday night, but then there are multiple other things that you can bag them for, like disturbing the peace. There are like city ordinances about sound. You're not supposed to just fire a gun at random out your backyard, right? Like there are all kinds of rules that can be used.
This reminds me of some stuff, and I'm thankful that some Spaniards are finally beginning to wake up. This reminds me of some stuff it's been going around about Spanish police, about how they rarely do shit against actual criminals or against like squatters that will wait until you're out on vacation to like break into your house and just fucking
I've
live
heard
there.
about that.
Yeah, the ocupas, that's an actual problem in Spain. But they won't do shit about it. They're like, oh, our hands are tied because they're tied because of the Constitution, whatnot. And then they will fucking gun you down because you're wearing your face mask under your nose.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
This is the same idea.
Exactly.
And like the thing, I might even not. Here's the thing. I probably wouldn't be bothered by this if it was like today, right? Like if this was posted today, hey, we find someone for blowing off fireworks. It's Saturday, July 8th. It's not the 4th of July, but they took pride. The 4th of July, the fireworks are all about. I mean, the 4th of July is all about the fireworks. It's all about blowing shit up and making sure everybody knows that if you
exploding stuff,
blow you up. Yeah, it's 4th of July is the United States big dick being whipped out and helicoptered around. That's what that's about. Rob Hayes says, try living in Australia, fireworks banned, and oh god, it's too bad because like Australia used to sound like a cool place.
Australia
and, like, I would say
used to be like the Texas of the Commonwealth until they decided to give their guns.
Yeah, it's somehow gotten worse and worse and worse since like 2000, to the point that I wouldn't even want to visit there, unfortunately, because like
I wanted to go to Australia, and after COVID, it fucking terrifies me. I don't want to go there and like become trapped there.
There was a point where I really wanted to go there. There was a point where I really wanted to visit Australia, and I do not. Here we go. In the 90s, it was a cool place. That's when I really wanted to go there. It sounded like an awesome place. These chicks are hall monitors, and this is why they did. You know how people get a job? You get a job, and you're like, look, I know this job is bullshit, but there are things that I have to do, right, to keep the job. So you see the guy lighting off fireworks, and you're like, look, man, just I got a couple of parking tickets over the winter because there was a parking ban where I was parking, but I didn't know about it, and they were only $15 tickets. But I didn't understand, like, why am I getting these parking tickets? So there's a cop and that had stopped like near my place for something completely unrelated, and I went over to him like, hey man, I got these parking tickets and I don't know why I got them. And he was really cool about it. He was like, oh, there's a parking ban because of the plows. That all makes sense. And I was like, so here's the issue. I have 2 cars. One is for work, one is my car. And I don't want to take up all the spaces. I don't like, where should I park? And he's like, all right, I didn't say this, but over there is probably good, and over there is probably good. Just be cool about it, right? And he told me that I might be able to get the parking tickets taken care of. I didn't. I just paid them because it was only like $15. But the point is, the cop understood the difference between like.
Yeah, I mean, they're still interacting with you at a human level. They're not fucking machines.
Speaking of women in positions of power, unless you heard what happened to Irene Montero.
I've heard several things about Irene Montero. Fill me in about it.
That pretty much she lost her position in her party.
Oh yeah, no, that happened a long time ago. Yeah, I think she's being used as a fall guy for. I mean, it is her fault because she was the one to come up with all the stupid ideas, like the only yes mean yes law that actually ended up freeing a shitload of sex offenders from jail. And we had like 2,000 rapists roaming the streets of Spain free of charges. But it only happened because the guys in power allowed it. So, they're like, no, well, that's just her. She's stupid. We don't have anything to do with it. And yeah, just fucking cover fire. Nothing happened. Everything's cool.
It's the hall monitor syndrome. If you watch the episode of the Brady Bunch where Peter Brady becomes a hall monitor, what happens is he just becomes obsessed with handing out citations to people because he identifies himself by the hall monitor, and everybody ends up not liking him.
The Stanford experiment syndrome.
Yeah, it is the same thing. It is the same thing. I didn't even think of that. But yeah, it is the same thing.
What's a great fucking movie? It's a good fucking German movie called The Experiment, Das Experiment. And it's great. It's claustrophobic and tense, and it deals in that. It deals in how people behave when you give them power and you tell them that you can do whatever they want to this other collective of people, because there's going to be no consequence as long as the order is maintained. And I completely recommend it.
And I think that many cartoons have parodied that episode because Hey Arnold made an episode of that. Jimmy Neutron made an episode of that.
Yo, look at this response. The responses to this. Bruh, come on.
Sometimes I love the internet.
This is why the internet was made. And look at this one dude. Holy God, bro. Like, bro. I love it. I'm glad I wasn't driving when I saw that. Let's see, Rob Hayes says, I'm going to say this in an Australian accent. My dad was an armourer, and when he did fireworks, crikey, it was always incident-free. No personal responsibility anymore.
It was a pretty decent accent.
Now I'm gonna. Now I'm gonna try and do Chopper Read, although it's been a while. Cops these days use power as opposed to influence. I didn't think I'd still be in chat, but the discussing is interesting. Gee, why? Well, I'm glad you like it,
No
man.
problem. Man.
Here's a truism from Hero92694Able. I wish I had 8 million. So do I. Let's see some more responses. If the penalty for a crime is a fine, then that law only exists for the lower class.
Yes,
sometimes.
that is something that I think Andrew Tate says, and he's not wrong. I mean, if I can like just pay the bill, pay the fine, that's what mega corporations do. You know, if they gotta pay a fine for like I don't know, untrue advertisement or I don't know how you call that in English, but you know, for deceiving their customers. And if that deception gives them higher benefits, they'll just pay the fine and keep doing it.
Well, that's every big pharmaceutical company pays hundreds of millions a year in fines to keep doing the shit that they've been doing. Shithead Steve says, you don't have to do it. How many of your friends and families have you let out of a speeding ticket? And you know, that's true. Like I just told a story about a cop that told me, hey, if I go talk to this person, there's a good chance I'll get my parking tickets canceled. I just didn't want to break any balls that day. That's why, but they don't, it also depends on the size of the city, right? Like I'm in the boonies in a small town. So the cop that I was talking to, like I saw him the other day, he recognizes me.
That's the thing. When there's a high chance you're gonna like meet each other at like local diner or the library or the grocery store or whatever, they tend to be more polite. Here, what they do is, I think it's the same thing that they do in New York City, actually. They work in the city, but then they go live in New Jersey. They do the same thing here. They work in Bilbao, they work in the big city, and they just go to the neighboring autonomous community, also known as state, and they just live there. So
I'm not saying that should be illegal. That should not be allowed. If you're going to be a cop in New York City, you should live in one of the boroughs. Maybe not,
if you're like a functionary in charge,
but yeah,
if you're a functionary in charge of a city, you should live in the city and deal with the consequences of your actions there, like the rest of us need to do.
What does that say about that department or that governance structure if their employees, their representatives, don't live in the city?
Mm-hmm.
I do have a serious problem with that. Illegal with a fine means legal for a price. There are some really good ones. Let me yes, you are the bad guys. Literally no one has to do it. There are some better ones. I know there are, unless they all got pruned. Two bitter, ugly, and likely childless women who gain satisfaction from distributing misery in the form of stealing money from people just trying to celebrate their national holiday.
He's not wrong. Based.
Yeah.
Based.
That's a weird shade of red, but okay. Sioux Falls, ladies and gentlemen, because nothing says happy birthday America like it's exhausting being the bad guy, but someone has to extort the pie feelers.
That's a good one too. Like throwing the fucking blue boil out the trunk.
Yeah.
About to really kill those. F in the chat for Killdozer, guys.
We passed the point where pick related needed to happen years ago.
Yep.
I don't know what does this mean? I hope your pillow is warm on both sides when you
when you're sleeping in a really hot night, you flip the pillow because you expect it to be colder on the other side, so it allows. And you know this fucking raccoon is studying then that he expects the pillow to be warm on both sides.
Okay, got it.
So basically, you can get a good night's sleep.
I flipped the pillow. I definitely flipped the pillow. Oh, that's because this Karen here, sitting here with a sound-sensitive toddler, bullshit, that kid's going to end up being transgendered within the year. Wearing giant ear protection to bed, and a dog that has to be drugged so he doesn't hurt himself because of fireworks. You aren't the bad guys in our eyes. Now, dogs do flip out over fireworks. I would say most dogs probably do it. But
it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make.
Exactly. Like, okay, comfort the dog, pet the dog. It's blowing shit up night, and that's how it is.
Well, it also depends on the firework. if it's a very very noisy firework, the dog is gonna be bothered. But if it
Yeah.
isn't, the dogs don't give a shit.
I don't think.
Anyway, guys, I gotta drop out again because it's movie night tonight. I think when they go to the movies, and there's
All
a
right, well,
Killer
I'm gonna-
Shark movie in theaters. It's a Killer Shark movie.
I'm gonna wrap it up because I didn't even mean to go this long. I only meant to go like an hour.
And it's like
2.5 hours.
2.5 hours, dude.
Yeah.
Could have done your
So yeah, there's some stuff going on. Alex Jones, Gay Frog. I definitely want more content from that. Isome, Eric July. My biggest criticism to you, man, is to stop being a cunt, because you're being a cunt. And I'm not a hater. I listened to your show for years. So stop being a cunt. And yeah, aliens maybe, skinwalkers maybe showing up on airplanes. And
I'm gonna be taking an airplane shortly to your part of the world, Midnight. So
Yeah.
I'll let you know if I see anyone.
You should videotape it.
I shall.
All right. And we'll be back tomorrow night.
All right. See you around.
Everybody have a nice day.
Take care.